It's embarrassing how Discount Video is organizing their sci-fi section these days.
Wait, have you been there recently? I thought you were banned for life.
You know the old saying, if you get banned for espionage, espionage harder.
I'm actually curious what shelf they put Battlefield Earth on. Welcome to Rewind Video. I'm Bob.
I'm Rob.
And we love movies. Good ones, bad ones, old ones, new ones, stupid movies, smart movies, and everything in between. Rob, I've got a little quiz for you today.
Okay.
Nothing too serious. Just a quick test of your intelligence when it comes to the inner workings of our beloved video store. We'll start with an easy one. You ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that right?
That's it. Question number one. What type of oil do we use to pop our renowned popcorn?
I believe it's a locally sourced organic sunflower oil.
Spot on, my friend.
Excellent.
Thought you were going to go with like a motor oil or something, but it is indeed sunflower oil from a local vendor. Here's question number two, maybe a little bit harder. When August 21st rolls around every year, we play movies featuring a very specific someone all day long at the store. Who is the star of the films we watch on August 21st?
Patrick Swayze. It's Swayze's birthday.
That's right.
Yeah, we're crazy for Swayze here at Rewind Video.
Indeed, we always are. I mean, technically 365 days of the year, but we really show it on one particular day. All right, question number three, maybe a softball. When someone needs a recommendation for a movie to watch, where do we point them?
I usually point them to you.
Yes, that's fair. And what do? I point them to the staff recommendation shelf.
That's another good idea.
Yeah. As listeners know, you and I are in charge of painstakingly curating our staff recommendation shelf. Each time we rotate in new movies, we adhere to a theme, and this week's theme is intelligence.
At least based on all the information we have so far, that is our current assessment.
Right. And I feel like it's a pretty educated guess.
Yeah.
So, once again, I can't remember who picked this.
I think we should correct something. I think we got something wrong in the last episode. I think
rare, but okay.
We said it was your selection of topic. It actually was mine. So that means this episode is yours. Actually is yours.
Okay.
But I think we've kind of evolved past the point where we need to explain it.
That's true. Yeah. It should speak for itself why we picked the theme, because it's interesting.
Yeah.
And there are movies to choose from. Movies from usually many different genres, many different
movies
times.
Involve spies and smart people.
Yes. That was where it clicked for me. I initially found this theme a little bit challenging, but when I thought, I guess it also involves gathering intelligence.
Yes.
Then, a whole new selection of films opened up and it became a little bit easier.
We like to cast a wide net here at Rewind Video.
Yes. I will say, it is fun to see smart people doing extraordinary things. We saw that in Limitless for our Getting High theme.
Yeah.
I think we get a little bit of that here tonight again in some of our movies. So
we have a good mix. We have both kinds of intelligence. We have the gathering of intelligence, and then the big-brained intelligence.
Right. We satisfy all fans of intelligence.
Yes. I know there are factions amongst that group of fans, but we're here for all of them.
Yes. Well, why don't you get us started with your first pick, as you usually do. I'm excited to talk about this one.
All right, let's get into it. I'm going to start us off. In 1999, it is titled Heat Vision and Jack, filed under Weird Science.
That would be accurate.
Here's the back of the box. It's a long one. As the result of a NASA miscalculation, astronaut Jack Austin flew too close to the sun, the rays expanding his mind and making him the smartest man on the planet. Now he and his talking motorcycle, who contains the mind of his former roommate, are on the run from NASA and their assassin, actor Ron Silver, who wants to take his brain. They travel from place to place, solving paranormal mysteries with the help of Jack's newfound ability to become a super genius when his brain absorbs sunlight.
Clearly, Jack Black was one of the astronauts on the first mission from Sunshine, and he just managed to make it all the way back to Earth.
Yeah, he came back super smart. There is no tagline for this. Right. This is not a movie necessarily.
Right. Yes, this is not a movie.
Heat Vision and Jack is a 30-minute television pilot written by Dan Harmon and Robb Schraub. And it was directed by Ben Stiller, starring Jack Black and Owen Wilson as the voice of the sentient motorcycle and Ron Silver as himself. The show is never picked up as a series, so it exists as this standalone episode. Because of that, I consider it a short film.
That's fair. I'm not going to challenge you on that because this is such a treat to watch.
It really is.
Maybe you're going to get into this, but I do have some questions around the origin of this pilot.
Okay. Well, I think I have some answers for you.
Okay, I'll let you cook, and we'll get to my questions naturally, I'm sure.
So Schraub and Harmon, they owed ABC a script for a TV show, to pitch a TV show. And so they were trying to kind of get out of it. And so they wrote what they called their, quote, favorite TV show ever, as a way to fulfill the contract, and also knowing that ABC would not be interested. They just wanted to scare them off. And that worked. ABC was like, no, thank you. But the script floated around. Ben Stiller got it. And eventually Fox decided to pay for the pilot to see if maybe they would go as a series. And they didn't, but they did pay for the pilot. So that's how it exists.
Fascinating. So I was curious if this was indeed a real pilot, because I saw this on VHS when I first watched this short film, and it has that intro from Ben Stiller, and I guess I thought, okay, he's positioning it as a pilot, but this was just like a passion project for somebody, and it happens to be hilarious, but it wasn't actually something that was circulated to the networks. But you're saying that it indeed was.
It was. No, I'm pretty sure it was Fox that had this made as a pilot. They were considering taking this to having this as a weekly show.
I would have loved that.
Yeah, that would have been fantastic. Although, I think, it's back then TV shows were 22 episodes a season or something, and so it seems like I feel like it would have gotten old after 1 or 2 seasons.
Maybe, yeah.
But I would love to have 12 to 20 of these.
100%.
I think that would be so fucking great.
How did you first see this? Because when I saw it was on VHS and it was passed to me by a friend, but this was way pre-YouTube, pre-internet the way we know it today.
I mean, I think I probably got it the same way.
Yeah.
Maybe even from the same person.
Probably, yeah.
I don't remember. I know that early days of Google Video, I remember it being on that. I may have even had a copy of it, an MPEG file or something of it.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Honestly, I don't know. It's never been commercially available.
Right.
The copies that you do find are not good looking.
No.
Although we do have some bootleg copies here at the store behind the desk, if you ask nicely.
That's why you love Rewind Video.
Yeah, but there's a copy on YouTube that it doesn't look great, but it's watchable.
It's as good as the copy I first saw.
Yeah, and I think it's as old as YouTube is. It's one of the original videos, a 13, 15-year-old video.
Yeah.
So Jack Black plays Jack Austin, the astronaut who got too close to the sun, which results in his brain expanding like cookie dough and making him super intelligent, at least when the sun comes up.
Right, when it goes down.
The science in all this is very unclear. Because, if you got too close to the sun, why does the sun have to be up? And, his sidekick is Heat Vision, his talking motorcycle, who was his old roommate, Doug, who got merged into the bike when they got hit with a, quote, experimental ray. And this rewatch was actually the first time it hit me that Heat Vision was the name of the motorcycle before Doug got zapped into it, right? Yes. And so, when they merged, he stayed Heat Vision. So, now that he's in motorcycle form, Doug no longer exists. So, I don't know. It kind of I assume that was Doug's choice. Yeah. I don't know. This does showcase a particular brand of humor from a particular time, I think.
Yes.
Ben Stiller was still very much in the comedy world. He was coming off the Ben Stiller show earlier in the decade. He had just done Reality Bites and The Cable Guy, and that a movie that's been on the staff recommendation shelf before. And then Schraub and Harmon, they went on to things like the Sarah Silverman program, Community, Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
So like you can see the comedy DNA of all those things in Heat, Vision, and Jack.
Yeah, you definitely pick up Dan Harmon vibes from this.
Yeah,
I mean,
big,
it's
big
got
time.
his name written all over it.
And also the late 90s was when Jack Black was coming into his own.
Yeah.
That's when he was becoming Jack Black. He'd had some small parts in movies and TV shows. In researching this episode, I did find out his first screen credit was in 1984 on the TV show The Fall Guy.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Full circle.
Mid-90s, he was on Mr. Show. That's how he got onto my radar.
Likewise.
And then pretty shortly after that, he did a few episodes of Tenacious D.
Yeah.
Which was like 97, 98, I think, is when they started doing those. So like...
And the rest is history.
Yeah, and that only lasted a couple episodes, but like I felt like that was Jack Black getting shot out of a cannon.
Yes.
Because like that solidified his comedic persona. It subtly created kind of like a new comedic language that he's one of the only people that speaks, but like it's like this patter that he has. And so for me, like I can't imagine anybody, especially at this point in time, being better for this movie.
No.
Let's call it.
I would say that's true of everyone in this short film.
Yeah, including Ron Silver.
Ron Silver's fantastic. Owen Wilson as the voice of the bike is
great.
Just outstanding. We have Ben Stiller's wife. I can't remember her name.
But yeah, the sort of intelligence we're dealing with in Heat Vision is the powerful brain, super smart type.
Yes.
And when the sun is out, Jack Austin, quote, knows everything, which is not how knowledge works.
No.
That's part of the humor of the show is like it kind of knows how ridiculous and silly it is.
Yeah.
But like, and we're gonna come across this later as well. But having a super expanded brain, and even if you're like super smart, it doesn't mean you know stuff.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because this show is like, oh, the sun's out. Now I know all these facts about German Shepherds, which of course you wouldn't know. That you're being extra smart doesn't help you know anything.
You still have to learn the information.
Yeah, you can learn it quickly, I suppose. But that's not how intelligence works. You know.
Yeah.
But again, part of the fun of this, I think this is a fantastic short film.
Yeah.
It rates it a 3.7 overall in Letterboxd. It only has a couple of reviews. Like it hasn't been seen by a lot of people.
Right.
5 people have it in their 4 favorites, though.
Oh, wow.
So there's 5 true heroes out there.
I agree. Yeah, I'd like to meet those people.
33% of the people that have rated it agree with my 4-star rating, including user Sam, who says, "We all have someone we wish would get turned into a motorcycle by Ron Silver."
I think we do.
So Heat Vision and Jack, it's a hilarious look at intelligence, and I'm putting it on the staff recommendation shelf this week.
Well, fine pick. In spite of the fact that it's not a traditional film, I was all too eager to go back to this one, and it's still funny.
Yeah.
It's still funny.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I also I had justified it also by thinking that if we were doing a show about TV series, we couldn't put it on here. It's just a single episode, So it's not really a TV show either. So it's a short film.
Yes, I agree. It fits. It works. And I would wager a guess that quite a few of our customers have not seen this. So what better reason than now, under the theme of intelligence, to check out Heat Vision and Jack.
Do the smart thing.
Indeed. All right. Well, I'm going to try to follow you up with a film from 1995. This is plucked from I'm not sure the title of this movie matches the movie section of the store. And my first pick is Dangerous Minds. Here's the back of the box. Former Marine Luann Johnson lands a gig teaching in a pilot program for bright but underachieving teens at a notorious inner-city high school. After having a terrible first day, she decides she must throw decorum to the wind. When Johnson returns to the classroom, she does so armed with a no-nonsense attitude informed by her military training and a fearless determination to better the lives of her students, no matter what the cost. Tagline, "She broke the rules. and changed their lives. Womp womp.
Yeah.
That's like a C-.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that tagline. So I'm going to start by acknowledging that this is absolutely no higher than a 3-star movie for me. This received a lot of buzz upon release, mostly due to Coolio's entry to the soundtrack, Gangster's Paradise.
It's an all-time classic.
It's a banger, yeah, to this day. But separate from that song, it's not like an instant classic film by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
In fact, there are some parts of this that feel very divorced from reality, especially in 2024. But for some reason, it's fun to look back on something that's quintessentially 90s.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get into that a little bit in terms of why I picked this. But as it relates to our theme, Dangerous Minds delves into the challenges of teaching in an underprivileged environment where the students are often written off as lost causes. So Luann Johnson's approach emphasizes some critical thinking and self-respect, emotional intelligence, I think you can say. She's definitely pushing her students to realize their potential as other teachers have perhaps failed to do in the past. And the film highlights how intelligence isn't just about academic achievement, but also understanding one's environment, making choices that can lead to a better life. So this was based on the autobiography "My Posse Don't Do Homework" by Luann Johnson. The screenplay was adapted by Ronald Bass, who made significant changes to the source material, particularly in how Luann's character was portrayed. In the book, real rap songs were used as poetry lessons.
Okay, I wanted to get into this.
Yeah, I mean that seems so much. I was expecting that to be the case.
Yeah,
but for some reason they changed those rap songs to Bob Dylan lyrics, which I think was an effort at saying, "Hey, white people, we've got something for you too."
But I mean, it just seems so obvious especially because the song is this movie's mostly known for that song.
Yes,
and then there's no other hip hop in the movie at all that I can tell. But especially
Not really.
Even I've seen this movie a couple times, and every time it's just like, how can you not go from like her giving them Bob Dylan to them going like, check this out?
Right.
It's so obvious. It's right there.
So obvious. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
I think that's a major miss for this movie.
This movie is not. This speaks to a different problem with this movie. This movie is not at all about the students.
No.
It's really about Michelle Pfeiffer's journey from like hating her job to hating it less and then hating it a lot more. And you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about her going through some shit. Like the kids don't have anything to do.
And I would have much rather this been about the kids. It would have been a better film. And who knows? I haven't seen the series that came a couple years ago because they turned this into a TV show. Oh. And hopefully the show is more about the kids. I'd have to believe that it would be if it's several episodes and, more than a season long. But yeah, that's a miss. It's they should have kept the rap songs in the in the story. So director John N. Smith approached Dangerous Minds with the intention of creating a narrative that was both gritty and inspirational. I feel like it ends up feeling a little more predictable than inspirational, and I'm not sure it even feels gritty at all.
No, it's very much not.
Yeah, I think it's a little curious why there's only one classroom of troubled kids in this school.
Because all these like school movies and TV shows, I think, kind of forget about the fact that like kids go from classroom to classroom,
right? And
so presumably this is one of many of her classes.
Yeah.
So we're only getting the story from one of her classes. So who knows what else is going on in her other classes or these other kids'
Yeah. I mean, she seems to be an English teacher.
Yeah.
She's teaching these kids English. So I'm sure she has like a math class too and history. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's a small slice of the school day for both the kids and the teacher. So as we discussed, Michelle Pfeiffer plays the part of Luann Johnson. She's got a peculiar Southern accent in this that distracted me for the entire film.
It is distracting, yeah. I didn't like it.
I didn't like it either. And it's at odds with her persona as this military vet who's supposedly got a tough side and channels that in order to teach these kids. She just seems kind of meek a little bit.
She doesn't seem tough at first.
No.
And then she's like, wait a second, I am a Marine. It's like,
I'm going to put on my leather jacket.
yeah. It's like, well, you were a Marine when you walked in here the first day.
Right.
You know,
Where was
when
that
is
then?
a Marine like afraid of high school kids?
Yeah.
And then like the Southern accent somehow like put a spotlight on that.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
So alongside Michelle Pfeiffer, we have George Zunza, who's a friend of the pod. He's made several appearances on the staff recommendation shelf, including Crimson Tide and Basic Instinct. In Dangerous Minds, he plays like the supportive but pragmatic principal, or not principal, but fellow teacher. Apparently, he likes to star in movies with two-word titles that follow the adjective-noun formula with everything that at least we've covered.
Yeah.
There were a whole slew of scenes that were cut with Andy Garcia. Apparently, he was supposed to play Michelle Pfeiffer's love interest, but they decided, yeah, we don't need this.
I think I agree with that.
Yeah, you don't need Garcia. That just adds...
we want more school stuff.
We do.
Yeah, we want like academic scenes, not Andy Garcia.
No, yeah, we don't need him.
That's one thing this movie didn't need was Andy Garcia.
I agree. Fortunately, the filmmakers did too. So why did I choose this movie? I haven't said much to suggest that I actually liked this. And I certainly didn't love it. It's fine. But there's definitely, well, one of the reasons that it's no higher than a 3-star movie is that there's this white savior thing going on that it's been criticized for, and I think justifiably so. But this is a fun trip back in time to the mid-90s, which is a time when the two of us were in high school. And that's probably what I liked the most about this. It was nice to be reminded of when high school was simpler. No cell phones, no internet, no pesky technology that all the youths of today are used to. Just students, desks, and a blackboard. And that's what I remember growing up with. And it's this dynamic that gives Michelle Pfeiffer's character the opportunity to nurture the emotional intelligence of these students, encourage them to apply their street smarts to classroom lessons, and bond with their class in a pretty genuine way. So I appreciated that component of this film. I did like that Michelle Pfeiffer's approach to teaching this class was you're going to start with an A, and then it's going to go down from there. And I had a few professors like that in college, and I always appreciated that approach because it was like, all right, yeah, why shouldn't I start with an A? And I mean,
you kind of do.
You kind of do, but when it's delivered to you like that, it feels a little inspiring. But yeah, you know, I thought I remembered this movie being nominated for some Academy Awards back when it was released, but no Oscars, no nominations, which is probably justifiable. However, in the All Deaf Movie Awards, Michelle Pfeiffer was nominated for the category of Most Helpful White Person. And this award show happened 20 years after the movie was released. So her role had some staying power.
Wow, yeah.
This averages a 3.2 on Letterboxd, which is just a little high in my opinion. While I didn't agree with the user Steph's 1.5 star rating, I did like her review where she said, why does it look like she wanted to fuck every single one of her students? And the answer to this is probably because the main student, who ends up dying midway through the movie, was 29 when he was filming this part. So, like, all of these kids are older than they're supposed to be, which is, you know, classic when it comes to high school shows and movies.
Yeah.
But I think it's egregious here.
He's definitely too old to be in high school.
Way too old.
Way too old.
Yeah.
And she's young looking anyway, so I don't know how old she was, but like not much older than he was.
Yeah, there were a lot of moments in this movie I was like, oh man, there's some sexual tension in this scene.
Well, she gets herself into some like very inappropriate situations.
Oh yeah,
even if there's like nothing going on between them, it's like, well, no, you don't do that with a student.
Yeah, you're taking this kid to a 5-star dinner.
Yeah, like and like bringing him to your house to spend the night.
Oh yeah. No.
But you know, but you're recommending this movie.
I am. Yeah. I am. I do think that it is a fun trip back in time, and you know, I didn't see this when it first came out. It was put on my radar because of the music video and the Coolio song. I saw it a little bit later and wanted it to hold up better than I thought that it would. I didn't love it the first time around, but I guess I had a fonder memory of it than it probably deserves.
The song is much better than the movie.
Yeah,
the movie's fine. To me, it's kind of like a Disney-fied version of this kind of movie.
I agree. Yeah, I I wonder, and it's you might laugh when you hear this. I couldn't help but to think about 21 Jump Street when I was watching this, because I always felt like in 21 Jump Street we get, for the time, a very accurate portrayal of what high school is actually like.
Yeah.
And in this movie, apart from just looking and seeming the way it was when we were young, in the sense that there wasn't a lot of technology and it was classrooms with desks and blackboards, I don't think this is a very accurate portrayal of what high school is like.
And certainly not in my experience, but
No,
who knows?
Nevertheless, I'm putting it on a shelf. It's my first pick for intelligence.
Okay. I'm going to take us to the year of 2012. The movie is Argo.
All right.
This is in the Spy-Fi section of the store. Here's the back of the box. As the Iranian Revolution reaches a boiling point, a CIA exfiltration specialist concocts a risky plan to free 6 Americans who have found shelter at the home of the Canadian ambassador. Tagline: the movie was fake, the mission was real.
Great tagline.
Gets the job done.
Yes.
Argo is a based on true events thriller about the operation to rescue 6 American diplomats out of Iran who had escaped to the Canadian ambassador's house just as the hostage crisis was beginning.
Yes.
It was 1979. This is based on a Wired magazine article as well as Tony Mendez's book. It's the guy who Ben Affleck plays. It's about his career in the CIA, and it was directed by Ben Affleck, who also stars in an ensemble cast, which includes John Goodman, Alan Arkin, Bryan Cranston, and Kyle Chandler.
Great cast.
Great cast.
And they all deliver.
Oh, yeah. So the mission is to pose these diplomats as a Canadian film crew who are scouting a location to shoot a sci-fi epic. It was a real script bouncing around Hollywood. It was based on a real book, which I can't remember the name of. It wasn't called Argo. But the CIA funded a production company to do enough of this pre-production so it would hold up as a backstory.
Yes.
So more than just an espionage thriller, this is also a movie about movie making, which I think is my favorite part about it.
100% my favorite part. Yes.
It's a celebration of just kind of this old school Hollywood system that in a lot of ways hasn't changed all that much.
Right.
Alan Arkin and John Goodman are right on as 2 industry veterans who are tasked with running this fake production. And they go through all the steps that you would go through if you're actually making this movie. They find a script that meets their needs. They do a read through with actors. They attract investors. They have storyboards made. They're doing production design, like all the things, and including an important part of the plan, which is to run announcements in the trades. Because they want there to be a paper trail. They want, if they can point to a newspaper and say, look, this is in the newspaper. This is a real movie.
Yeah, they want their plan to be bulletproof.
Bulletproof.
And it is.
But that's a thing that intelligence organizations do.
Right.
They're literally fake newspaper stories.
Yeah.
In the newspaper sometimes. But all this is for a movie that's not getting made, which just kind of goes to show you how much work a movie is.
Yeah.
This is like, there wasn't a single frame of this movie shot. There never was going to be a single frame of this movie shot. Just to make it seem like they were doing a movie, they had to do all this work.
I love it.
This movie, the real movie, Argo, it won an Oscar for Best Editing. I think it probably deserved it based on the fact that the most thrilling part of the movie is a 20-minute sequence where people are waiting at airport security. Yes. They're just like sitting around and waiting, and that's like the most like nerve-wracking part of the whole movie.
Yes,
that's when you're like, wow, they really edited the fuck out of this.
Yeah, and they did a good job.
So the plan to get the diplomats out was an intelligence operation carried out by the State Department and the CIA. And they bring in Affleck, who's a CIA consultant, to come in and like State Department has some ideas and they're not really sure if they're feasible. They want him to come in and like give his advice. And so when they bring him in, like it just goes to show you the value of intelligence. because, they have these plans, or like, oh, we're going to pose them as teachers and then give them Canadian passports. They'll slip out that way. Or like, we'll pretend they're cyclists and they're on a trip through the mountains. And Affleck comes in and he's like the representative of the intelligence community. And he's just there, just like shooting down their ideas because like, all right, teachers, there are no foreign teachers in Iran at this point. He's like,
Right.
They're going to catch you in 5 seconds. He's like, the weather conditions it makes no sense that there's going to be cyclists going through the mountains, and this is a time with no internet. You couldn't just look stuff up. You had to like know stuff, and so like these simple things will blow up the entire operation. And that's why you need people who work in intelligence.
Yes.
Because like it's their job to just know stuff.
Right.
And that's how intelligence works in other countries when you're doing like spying type of intelligence. Like sometimes you just need somebody there to like hear stuff, to know stuff, to like
and to shoot ideas down.
Shoot ideas down to be like, or like,
Yeah.
hey, will this work? Or like, no, it's not going to work. Do you know what the weather's like there? Like, no,
Yeah.
they didn't know what the weather was like there. They
No.
didn't think about it.
No.
So yeah, this is a completely different kind of intelligence. Is like smart intelligence.
Oh, but it's so fun to watch for some reason in this case. I was riveted, and I think it's because of the flexing that Ben Affleck's character does, just in terms of knowing what he knows and killing ideas that clearly wouldn't have worked. I mean, it's great.
It's great, yeah. Plus all the movie making stuff, and I mean, it's just a really enjoyable, satisfying Hollywood thriller.
I avoided this when it first came out because it falls into that category of movies like All the President's Men, where you know the outcome before going in. Titanic is the same way. And I didn't expect the story to be as captivating as it was. And I was so wrong because when you watch this, it's great top to bottom.
I'm pretty sure I saw this when it came out in the theater in 2012.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure I knew about this before I saw the movie.
I don't think I knew about the story before I saw the movie. I remember when the movie came out, just looking into it and being like, "Oh, it's based on this story, and these guys escaped." So
like I knew about the Iran hostage crisis, but I did not know about this part of it at all.
Oh no, not the part of making the movie.
This was like in 2012. This was completely new to me.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the reason that was like so exciting. I was like, wow, I didn't even know this. Like you could fucking do this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it makes you wonder what other crazy ploys that the CIA has pulled over the years that we just don't even know about to do similar things. I'm sure there are some. I
mean, they just reading about the shit that they thought about doing with like Castro and stuff is like just fucking out there. I mean, like they were pulling shit out of their asses, trying whatever they could. So Argo is rated at 3.7 overall on Letterboxd.
It's a little low.
I think it's a little low. 694 people have it in their 4 favorites.
Okay.
34% agree with my 4-star rating, including user JHB Team, who says in his 4-star review, "Imagine if they presented the storyboard for Morbius to the airport security. No way would they be allowed on that flight."
Or Madam Web.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a great take.
Argo it's a sturdy, well-made Hollywood blockbuster that holds up extremely well over a decade later, and I'm putting it on the staff recommendation shelf for intelligence.
Yeah, Ben Affleck deserves some credit for this. I think he's great in this part. He directed this extraordinarily well. And he delivers these performances sometimes where you're like, give us more of that Ben Affleck, not the Batman Ben Affleck. This is what I'm after.
I hope he's doing okay. Yeah.
We all worry about that.
I'm always curious to see what he's doing next. But it's always something a little bit like like 2 degrees off of you're like, I didn't think you'd be doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm glad you picked this. It sets me up for my next film pretty nicely, but boy, was this fun to rewatch.
Excellent.
So for my second pick, I am pivoting from a movie that I didn't love to a movie that I absolutely fucking love. This is from 2015 from the Never Trust John Bernthal section of the store. The movie is Sicario. Back of the box is short and sweet. An idealistic FBI agent is enlisted by a government task force to aid in the escalating war against drugs at the border area between the U.S. and Mexico. Tagline, "The border is just another line to cross." which I think is a
that's
phenomenal
really good.
tagline. Like I said, I fucking love this movie. It's my favorite Denis Villeneuve movie. I find it to be infinitely rewatchable. I love the cast, the characters, the writing, the filmmaking. This is my definition of a modern 5-star film. I can't get enough of it.
It seems like it would be
Yeah,
for you.
for me, I am not in a minority, but there are definitely a lot of people that think this is middling at best. And
Oh, really?
Yeah, quite a few 3-star and lower ratings on Letterboxd.
To me, this is an excellent movie. I don't know that I would consider it like rewatchable necessarily. Like it's a little bleak.
I'll give you a funny anecdote from one of my many rewatches of this. Is I was talking to April about Captain America: Civil War one day and encouraging her to check it out, and then I threw this on, and she came in right at the beginning when they're raiding that house at the start of the movie and finding dead bodies in the walls, and she was like, "When does Captain America show up?" And I was like, "Well, this is not that."
Yeah, I wish Captain America was like that. This movie's very quiet.
It is.
It's very quiet. There's no music, I don't think.
There is music. There's a score by Johan Johansson.
Okay.
And it's not a traditional score. He's a guy that his scores are a mix of like orchestra and electronics.
Okay.
And so he has that like very deep drone that that is present in a lot of scenes in this movie. The score is definitely understated, but that's a big part of it. And Denis Villeneuve is a big fan of him as a composer, but he claims that this is the best score that he's ever had in a movie and has ever heard in a movie, which is high praise.
Because at the end of the movie, I was like, I don't think there was any music in that movie.
Right. Interestingly, Villeneuve basically pitched to the composer, like, I need a score that feels like a constant impending threat. And he referenced Jaws as inspiration for what this score needed to do. And so I think that to that degree, the composer succeeded. So why does this fit this theme? A different take on intelligence than traditional, but very similar to what you had with Argo. In Sicario, we're focusing on the notion of gathering intelligence in the context of the modern war against organized crime. So this showcases the lengths that the government will be willing to go to infiltrate and dismantle cartel operations, blurring the lines between right and wrong.
It also shows how intelligence operations and intelligence organizations work.
Yes.
Where you don't always know you're working for them. In fact, you usually don't know you're working for them.
100%. That's a big part of this. And I think it's like a gut punch when you realize why they brought Emily Blunt's character into this operation, which, was pitched as, we need your expertise, we need you. But in fact, it's just like, we can't pull this off without somebody from your agency being part.
We need somebody from your agency who's not a lawyer to be here.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is about more than just surveillance and data collection. There's a lot of psychological warfare here, manipulation, understanding an enemy's moves before they make them. And yeah, as you pointed out, it does delve into the dark side of intelligence work where ethical boundaries are, blurred, maybe crossed more than once. This was written by Taylor Sheridan, and Sheridan's a guy who just writes stories that people like to watch. He's behind Yellowstone and all of its spin-offs. He did Hell or High Water and Wind River, which serve as kind of an informal trilogy with Sicario. And this was shot on location in New Mexico with cinematographer Roger Deakins. And I think he's doing some of his best work with this movie. So the cast, Emily Blunt plays Kate Mercer. She's kind of the anchor of this film. Follows her journey as an FBI agent who's very by the books. Benicio del Toro is this mysterious operative with a personal vendetta against the cartel. If Emily Blunt is like the moral compass of this, he is the soul of this movie. He's just a guy you want to know more about, And then Josh Brolin, this is my favorite character he's ever played. He's this laid-back, ruthless CIA agent, kind of a dude's dude, and
But just like real greasy.
Real greasy.
Yeah. Like he's like just being like real chill and one of the guys, but it's in the greasiest way possible.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. John Bernthal is here. You can't trust him. Daniel Kaluuya shows up as Blunt's partner. And so, why did I choose this? There's literally nothing I don't like about this. I'll try to focus my appreciation on our theme, which is I love that this delves into the often unseen and morally complex aspects of intelligence gathering and covert operations. Film doesn't sway from the harsh realities of what it takes to get the intelligence you need to, especially against a formidable opponent like the cartel. And I think that, it portrays the intelligence community's strategies from leveraging informants and manipulating legal boundaries in a way that's both thrilling and also rather unsettling. Yeah. Which you pointed out, I like. Critical reception of this was really high. It averages a 4.0 on Letterboxd. People like it, but as I said at the top, this checks all the boxes for me. It's a 5-star movie. 13% of Letterboxers agree with me. And while I only gave Sicario 4 stars, I liked what user Matt Singer said in his review. He said, "Remember the scene in Boogie Nights where Alfred Molina is randomly tossing firecrackers at Mark Wahlberg and John C. Reilly? Sicario is like that scene for 2 hours straight with no Sister Christian. It is intense."
Yeah, Sister Christian would have been cool.
Yeah. Add that to the soundtrack. It becomes a very different movie.
Yeah, it is an intense movie, but it's really good.
I like that it finds a way to pinball between a few different genres. I mean, like it's a thriller, it's an action movie, it's funny at times, it's dark as fuck at times, and all of those genres shouldn't work together, but somehow they pull it off. And I think you need a little bit of levity here and there, and it doesn't come in large doses. But there's a lot happening here, and it's just a lot of fun to watch for me.
Okay, I'm going to take us back to the 90s, 1996. The movie is The Long Kiss Goodnight. This is filed under Born Again.
Wow, you're touching on something that I was going to bring up.
Here's the back of the box. Samantha Kane, suburban homemaker, is the ideal mom to her 8-year-old daughter, Caitlin. She lives in Honesdale, PA, is a school teacher, and makes the best Rice Krispie treats in town. But when she receives a bump on her head, she begins to remember small parts of her previous life as a lethal top-secret agent. Tagline, "What's forgotten is not always gone." That's no.
Bad.
Yeah.
That's just bad.
What's forgotten is not always gone. Like, that's on the front of the box. That's terrible.
That doesn't get me into the theater.
No, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
The Long Kiss Goodnight comes to us by way of Rennie Harlan, who directed Cliffhanger.
Sure did.
Recently on the shelf, as well as Die Hard 2, Deep Blue Sea, Cutthroat Island.
Yeah, he's got a mixed resume.
Yeah, I mean, those are his better movies, I think.
Right.
It's written by Shane Black, who wrote
This
Lethal
was
Weapon.
written by Shane Black.
Shane Black, yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
I'm surprised
Absolutely.
by that.
Like most of his movies, it takes place at Christmas, which should have been like dead giveaway. It's a Christmas movie, probably written by Shane Black.
Yeah, that's true.
So Gina Davis stars as the former CIA assassin who has forgotten who she is after a brain injury. And so she's been living as a normie mom in the Pittsburgh suburbs.
Yeah.
As her previous life slowly comes back to her after she hits her head again, I guess, the people who tried to kill her 8 years ago realize that she's still alive, and then they come after her. And it seems like Shane Black read The Bourne Identity, and instead of getting the rights to the book, was just like, I'll just do my own version of it.
But worse.
There are a lot of similarities, but it's basically the same story.
It is, almost identical.
Almost identical. But, the action is it's big. It's pretty good. Rennie Harlan is definitely on the second tier of, 80s, 90s action directors, but he gets the job done.
He gets the job done. I think he's done better action. I think the action was better in Cliffhanger.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're about the same level to me.
Okay.
I feel like I got real Cliffhanger vibes from this.
Okay.
You know? This is just when it comes to the action scene, you know, they're pretty coherent. They're not they're not amazing, but there's plenty of explosions.
There are explosions.
Tons of explosions. I do think like Cliffhanger, I do think the lead is miscast.
Oh, man. I'm glad you said that because I was going to ask, can we just agree that Gina Davis is a bad actress? I mean, she was good in League of Their Own.
Yeah.
She is bad here.
I don't know. I just don't think she can play this part.
No, it's not meant for her.
It's not meant for her. I mean, her husband's the director.
Yeah, right.
Like that's
right.
that. Like this was Rennie Harlan's "look at my wife" phase of his career.
Oh yeah, and you get certain scenes in this movie that are like, "Look at my wife."
He was explicitly, he was like, "Hey, look at how hot my wife is." It's like, okay, we get it. Like he was trying to make her an action star. He made Cutthroat Island, which is like, again, like she's not meant to be a pirate. She's not a pirate.
No.
So like she's just not believable as this like Beatrix Kiddo level super assassin.
I mean, you know, I think we got this type of character in Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Angelina Jolie, and Angelina Jolie is just the right person for this type of part.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, Angelina Jolie, I don't know, like Angelina Jolie is like weirdly unathletic.
That's true.
Which, like, I don't know. Do you remember the movie Salt that she was in?
Yes.
Where she kind of plays this kind of character.
Yes.
And it was like you see her running. She's like she's not an assassin. Yeah. She can't like throw a punch. Like
Right.
But like I can't help but think somebody like Linda Hamilton in this part in 1996.
Oh, that would have been great.
Would have been perfect.
100% agree.
You know, I just think Gina Davis is like the completely wrong part. I mean, I can see like you could see her as like, oh yeah, she makes sense as the housewife.
Yeah, I buy her as
I buy her as that, even though like not 100%. Let's be honest, I don't completely buy her as that either. But I think Sam Jackson though is absolutely phenomenal.
Sam Jackson's a lot of fun. Yeah. His introduction is great. Yeah. I love when he pops into that scene where he's catching the guy with a prostitute. I mean,
he's my favorite part of the movie, I think.
Yeah.
Besides maybe some of the explosions. Right. In the original cut, his character dies. And they were doing an early test screening, and somebody in the test screening, when it happened, screamed, "You can't kill Sam Jackson!" And so they recut the movie and changed it so he doesn't die at the end.
Oh, that's funny.
Which is like, again, like, I don't understand why you would kill him at that point. He's like clearly the best character. So like the way Gina Davis's character is portrayed in this movie is very in line with the James Bond idea of what a quote spy is. As in they're trained by the CIA in like every discipline imaginable in ways that could like kill somebody.
Yes.
They're super assassins. They know every martial art. They know how to use every weapon, every way to hack into a computer, all the psychological tricks, like you name it. They know everything. Like they're just trained into like to do anything possible, right?
Yep.
And like that's definitely not the way it is.
No.
You know. I'm not naive enough to think that the CIA isn't involved in like assassinations or killing inconvenient people, but when they do, I think it's probably a lot more like what's in Sicario, where it's like they get involved with and then they kind of support somebody else's like their agenda.
Yeah.
You know, like Benicio del Toro in that movie, like he has something he wants to accomplish.
Yeah.
And the CIA is like, oh, really? Like, we can help. We can help. And then then at the end, when like he wants to do his thing, they're like, they back away. They're like, we had nothing to do with this.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that's a CIA operation. This idea of, I just don't believe in this like James Bond, Ethan Hunt.
Super soldier.
It's like, you know, to the extent that those people do exist, I'm sure they're stationed in like one place. They have their connections and their contacts and like they have their area of expertise. It's not like you're in Spain this week and then you have a mission in Africa next week. And, you know, like, there's just no way that's how this really works.
I agree. My impression of the CIA, which is obviously very limited as it is for everyone who's not in the CIA, is just that, these guys have specific specialties, not experts in everything.
Right. Yeah, we found Ethan Hunt. He's the perfect psychopath. We can teach him exactly all these things, but he doesn't think for himself beyond this.
Right.
This doesn't exist. It's just a silly concept, but like it's great for movies, and like it's kind of evolved out of the James Bond idea and whatnot.
Yeah.
So The Long Kiss Goodnight is rated 3.4 overall on Letterboxd. 103 people have it in their 4 favorites. Including 24% who agree with my 4-star rating, including Jordan Beaumont Anderson, who writes, "Stay far away from any lady that abruptly bleaches her hair. She's going through some shit." So Long Kiss Goodnight, I think it's a blast. It's a throwback 90s action movie that I'm putting up on the staff recommendation shelf this week for intelligence.
So this was my first time seeing this, and your 4-star rating is maybe 2 stars too high for me.
Wow.
But I have to believe that seeing this for the first time in 2024 is maybe going to affect my opinion of the film. And I could imagine that with a lot of Rennie Harlin's movies. You look at his resume and it's like, most of these films I remember growing up with and having an attachment to, and they just hit a little different today, but there's some nostalgia that factors in. And without that, for me, this one was... I just found myself wishing I was watching The Bourne Identity or any of the Bourne movies.
See, I don't know. I probably like this better than most of the Bourne movies.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
I think what I like more about the Bourne movies is the shadowy organization that is behind Jason Bourne and the dabbling that we get in what they're doing and the strings that they're pulling and just scenes of people in dark rooms with a fuck ton of screens on the wall and tracking stuff, like more of the spy espionage stuff that you get with those movies. But yeah, fundamentally, it's a compelling story. The idea of somebody hitting their head and remembering that, oh my God, I was a super soldier.
Yeah, like to me, this is like one of those '90s action movies on the level of like Under Siege, Cliffhanger.
Oh wow, okay.
I think it's one of my go-to '90s actioners.
Nice. Well, I'll have to maybe give it another rewatch a few years from now and see if it maybe stirs some things up for me. But I was glad to have seen it, so thankful that you put it on the shelf. I'm going to round things out with another movie that we're probably going to be pretty critical of.
We'll see.
This is 2014 from the Really section of the store. And the movie is Lucy. Back of the box synopsis. A woman accidentally caught in a dark deal turns the tables on her captors and transforms into a merciless warrior evolved beyond human logic.
True.
The tagline here: the average person uses 10% of their brain capacity. Imagine what you could do with 100%, which is not a good tagline. It brings up one of the major flaw of this movie.
Well,
that's one of the things I wanted to get out of the way first.
And it's also a dumb tagline.
It is a dumb tagline, but yes, the entire foundation of this movie is based on a completely false notion that humans only use 10% of their brain. There's nothing factual about this theory, but if you can suspend disbelief for a brisk 80 minutes, I think it makes for a fun premise to a sci-fi story. And that was Luc Besson's mentality as well. He knew that there's nothing factual here, but if you can buy into it for the sake of a story.
I wish they hadn't like so explicitly used like, oh, the people say 10%. You only use 10% of your brain, because like by the time this movie was made, everybody knew that was not true.
Yeah.
Right. So they could have just said the premise is like, oh, like we found a way to maximize the brain's potential. They could have been more vague about it, and it would have made more sense.
It would have made more sense. But they lean into it hard.
Yes.
To the point where they're literally putting percentages on the screen every time she gets smarter.
Which actually I didn't hate that part.
I didn't hate it. I mean, Luc Besson takes some swings here just in terms of like the filmmaking, and I think a lot of them work. But the second point I just want to get out of the way is that this is another Scarlett Johansson film that I'm bringing to the shelf. And I've been critical of Johansson, but this fits squarely into the category of film where I think she shines, which is whether she's playing a failing actress like she did in Match Point, or a not human / computer like she was in Under the Skin and Her. And here she's stops being a human in the traditional sense, like 15 minutes into this film, and then literally becomes a computer at the end of the film.
I think it's just time for you to admit that you're a fan of her work. I mean, this is like, the fourth movie of her? Third at least.
I thought it was only the second.
I think it's been at least 3. No, I can't remember.
We'll have to go back.
I mean, obviously it's 2 in a row, but I think there's been another one fairly recently.
There might
I think
be.
at least 3, but like even so, clearly you're a fan of her work.
I was even looking at another one of her movies for next week's theme. So yeah, maybe there is something there. So how does this fit this theme? This is probably my most literal interpretation of our intelligence theme as it relates to smarts, even though this movie is based on a debunked theory. Here we see our main character of Lucy take a drug that allows her to access more than 10% of her brain, and she goes from being a normal human to a super intelligent being that can control electronics, change her appearance, control people, bend space and time, all sorts of nonsense.
I mean, none of it makes sense.
Nonsense.
It's
This is
complete
nonsense. So Luc Besson had been developing the idea for Lucy for nearly a decade before it finally came to fruition. He envisioned this film as a deep dive into human potential and intelligence. Script went through multiple revisions over the years. Yeah. And so, Scarlett Johansson plays Lucy. We talked about her. Morgan Freeman's here as like the scientist whose research into brain capacity develops the framework for the film's premise. And
you get Morgan Freeman in because it lends this credibility to this horseshit science.
Right. I mean, Morgan Freeman's presence in any film, I think, puts it on people's radar. It was the same thing with Wanted.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, it's a Morgan Freeman movie. I should pay attention.
Obviously. Right. This is a serious film.
Yeah. We also get Choi Min-sik, who, people know him from Old Boy, probably. He plays the ruthless drug lord who unknowingly sets Lucy's transformation in motion. So why did I choose this? For a movie about intelligence, I think this is best received if you shut your brain off and let this movie just wash over you. Take that approach, and I find it to be a fun, visceral experience. I think it's worth all 80 of the minutes that you spend in front of the TV. And I'm glad that it has such a short runtime, because any longer, and it would be too much.
I agree with all of that.
But I think the second you start scrutinizing this and even thinking a little bit about the science behind it, it's going to be disappointing.
Well, here's the thing. A completely stupid premise. But yeah, you're right. As long as you don't think about it at all, it's fun.
Yeah.
The problem in the first half is the movie is starting to take itself a little too seriously.
It does.
And when you said like, oh yeah, he wanted to make like a statement about like human intelligence and evolution or whatever, in the first half of this movie, like it starts to like trying to make like profound statements and like deep thoughts, and it's just like, oh my god, like it almost lost me. And I'm like, this movie can't be going here, especially with something so stupid that's like debunked in the first 30 seconds of the movie starting.
Yeah.
But by the second half, the movie just gives up on all of that and is like, no, fuck it, we're just gonna go for it.
But then it comes back to when she's in that room with the scientists, and she's like, let me just educate you guys on how life works.
I'm okay with it at that point. You can end a movie like that. You can end it, like, to me, you can end a movie on a ridiculous note, like a ridiculous movie on a ridiculous note.
Yeah.
But as long as the first act of this movie, it was like, oh my god, they're gonna like try to like, I don't know. They were trying to like say, they were going in a direction
they were trying to be philosophical.
I was worried.
Yeah.
But they gave up on that pretty quick, and I'm so happy.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, it kind of just becomes an action movie, and it's a fun one at that. Luc Besson does a good job of jet setting us around the globe, giving us a straight up bonkers climax that involves a surreal trip back to the Big Bang. And because this comes from Besson, there's some technical filmmaking that I think is a bit of a treat. You know, it's beautiful at times. There's a solid mix of CG and practical effects. But yeah, as it relates to our theme, it's definitely trying to push this idea that it's exploring the concept of superintelligence to its most extreme and speculative limits. And yeah, I don't think that you should take this movie as seriously as Luc Besson does. But I think it's a fun watch.
It's a midnight movie.
It's 100% a midnight movie. So critical reception, despite mixed reviews, Lucy was quite a commercial success. This grossed almost $500 million.
Wait, what?
$463 million worldwide against a $40 million budget.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible?
Jesus.
Yeah, it became one of the highest grossing French films of all time, and kind of helped turn Scarlett Johansson into an action star. This was prior to her entry into the MCU. And yeah, it's an experience. I can't recommend this in the traditional sense in terms of like it has something to say, but yeah,
anything it's trying to say is stupid.
Yes.
But yeah, this is a get a six pack. Started at 11:30 p.m.
Yeah, it averages a 2.8 on Letterboxd.
That's right on.
I have this at 4 stars because I just enjoy the ride, and
Plus you're such a big ScarJo fan.
Yeah. So I am in a minority. There's only 13% of users who agree with me, but nevertheless, I'm throwing it on the shelf for our final intelligence pick.
That's a smart choice.
Had you seen this before?
No. I watched it for this episode.
Okay.
But I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. I thought if nothing else, the runtime would be something that was right up your
Huge
alley.
fan.
Well, Rob, I can't tell if I feel smarter after watching these 6 films, or if maybe I've just taken an exotic drug or gotten hit on the head enough to make me remember my former life as an assassin. Either way, we've managed to add 6 films to the staff recommendation shelf against the theme of intelligence, and the movies that we chose include Heat Vision and Jack, Dangerous Minds, Argo, Sicario, Long Kiss Goodnight, and Lucy.
Find us on the internet at rewindvideopod.com, and don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and review the show wherever you are on your current device.
Yeah.
Your phone, your TV. You can probably watch this show on TV.
I mean, if you got like YouTube on your TV.
Yeah, we're on YouTube.
Yeah,
we're all over the place. So yeah, share that shit.
And give us some stars.
Give us all the
we
stars.
Like stars. Next time, we're taking a third pass at a theme that involves runtimes. We've covered long movies. We've done short movies. Next, we'll be splitting the difference with some films with a runtime right in the middle, Goldilocks style, and see what that delivers for us.
I might disagree that it's just right. I think it still might be too long, but you know how I am.
Yeah. Well, perhaps we're going to take another pass at runtimes after this next one. But yeah, in the meantime, feel free to hit us up for a movie to watch. And as always, we will see you next time.
Be kind, recommend, and hail, citizen.